Good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. What up, Clark Kemp?
Who you with?
Hey, what's happening, brother? Apostle?
Bishop, chairman of the board, superintendent. God bless your heart. 93 titles, man. You know, I got to give you all of the accolades, man, because you deserve it.
Okay. DA? The J is, yeah. Good morning, Devon. Boom, boom. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, he done come in here threatening people about his name and,
No, that was what
he
happened,
threatening
man.
people, man.
You gonna call me when I
No,
No.
that's my name. He's like
you-
Muhammad Ali and who was it? Ellis?
See, we not about to
Would
put
he
out
just beat him up?
misinformation to the public.
Man,
What happened
My
was
bad, man.
Keith was supposed to do something, but on the sheet they spelled his name wrong. So he like, oh,
I don't know who they was referring
they
to.
talking about.
Yeah, that
And I
ain't me.
said, man, they got to get that right. I almost got into an altercation because somebody kept messing up my name.
Yeah.
And now he talking about, I'm checking people about my name.
The
No, I ain't.
the gifted and talented one was getting ready to get canceled because, hey, Keefy. Oh, so we're going to be like that, huh?
Keefy Poo.
And I tell people, man, my mama, we didn't have no nicknames in my family. We still don't have nicknames.
Really?
Your government name is your name. That's what people call you. My mama didn't do no nicknames.
She ain't call you Pookie.
No, ain't no Pookie. Day Day.
She call you look like your daddy.
Your daddy. His mama didn't call me that. Hey, KK. Ain't no KK. What do you mean, hey, KK? Oh, man. Hey, but could your girl call you by a pet name?
Mm-mm.
No.
Yes, you do.
No, she don't.
I'm telling you.
Your girl don't call you no little like pooch.
Hey, little poo.
Oh, smooches. Smooches.
I don't know if she's listening, but one of my former coworkers, Joyce McCrory Brown, said, "Hey, Sookie." She called me the old pimp name, Sookie. Oh, Sookie now. Yeah, then people have nicknames, man. Some of these folks, I didn't even know their real names until we got grown because it was always their nickname. My guy's listening. I know he's listening down in Texas. And man, I was talking to his sister and I said, "Hey, how's Pratt Jr. doing?" She said, "Boy, you really go back with him, right?" I'm going, "Cause that was his,
Right.
And I thought that was like that was his name, right? That's what we called him." So
Yeah, I got a cousin like that.
Call him Junior.
No, it wasn't. Well, you used to work with Pat, but her daughter,
Pat Colbert.
yeah. Her daughter's name is Jennifer,
Okay.
but we always called her Lynn. So I never knew that her real name was Jennifer until I was probably 18, 19 years old, and I'm like, who's Jennifer?
Yeah. There was
it'd be like that.
Yeah.
It'd be
There was a
that.
guy,
You call somebody a nickname for so long,
Mhm.
like they say the real name, like who's that?
yeah, like there was a guy, Carmen Fuller, and
He
man,
definitely changed that name. He definitely made that a
you
nickname.
know what his nickname was?
What?
Fruity.
Oh man, he had.
No, well, wait.
But his first
Now,
name was
before-
Carmen.
Before you get to that, his game was so cold that people weren't even tripping. I mean, like his game was so sweet, Fruity. His game was so sweet,
Nutritious and delicious. Huh?
Mother Pooh.
and they call and Rhonda's nickname in her family is Squeaky, and then my nickname for her is Candy Yams.
Well, I mean,
It's like candy.
Yeah, you remember in Living Color, the head detective?
Yeah, head
Mhm.
detective.
His girlfriend was Candy Yams. She's so sweet. That girl give you diabetes.
Yeah, anybody that with a name Fruity, that's like somebody calling you delicious.
I dare you to trip on Fruity.
No, but I'm saying
Because Fruity
but I'm
gonna trip
saying-
on you.
No,
We just
but
gonna
I'm
be
saying,
some
but
tripping
that's like a
brothers.
grown
'Cause
man
I'm not calling nobody.
Yeah,
Fruity.
man, I'm not calling no grown man delicious. I'm not calling no grown man Fruity. None of that.
None of that.
Nah. Sweetness.
So you wouldn't call Walter Payton Sweetness?
Nah.
No.
You're gonna have to call Walter Payton.
Nah,
Sweetness.
man, I'm gonna call him WP or something, man.
Dub.
Yeah, Dub or something, man. I ain't
You
gonna
hard
call him-
rock brothers.
No, man, I'm just rooted like that, man. I'm
No,
just cut
he
like
did.
that,
No,
man.
keep making a good point because you calling sweetness.
Yeah,
You call
and
it-
we call Fruity, and when nobody tripping, like nobody, oh, that's a girl name. All those years, I ain't never heard anybody make fun of his
So,
name.
Well, we
so
always
ain't nobody
say-
call him Tutti Frutti?
No,
Probably.
I'm telling you, it didn't happen.
Somebody was playing.
Yeah, you
No,
know,
I wouldn't-
But I will say, like we always say, one of my favorite phrases, there's always an exception to the rule. And with Walter Payton, he's an exception. Where you could call him Fruity.
Nah, man,
He-
that's too.
You could call him Sweetness, man, because he
Now, I'm
arguably
with you
the
with
greatest
delicious.
running back of all
I'm
time.
with you with delicious.
Like, what's up, Delicious?
What's
Now,
up,
that's-
delicious?
that's-
I'm
that's
with you
going
with
too
that
far.
one, but
Licking your lips. What up, Delicious?
That's going
Hey,
too
man,
far.
hold
when
on.
somebody say taste of your words.
Yeah. Like, hold on, LL Cool J. Why you licking your lips, man? Talking to me, man.
That's going too far. I
calling me
wouldn't.
Delicious, man. Nah, man. Nah, I'm cool. Man. Nah, man. We ain't gonna do that.
Oh man.
No,
I'm just
sorry.
saying, man, that there's some people, man, like I was talking to a sister at church. Come to find out I knew her family.
Mhm.
And you know, one of her cousins was Pumpkin. I didn't know Pumpkin's real name was Yolanda because she was always Pumpkin,
Yep,
as
I know
long
this
as I
girl
can
named
remember.
Pumpkin. And
Crazy.
I still,
I know somebody named Pumpkin,
I do
and it
too.
took me a long time to figure
Yeah.
out that. Yeah, like after a while, that just become their name.
Yeah.
I had a friend in college, Cheryl Brown. Nobody called her Cheryl. She was always Penny, and Penny wasn't part of her name. It was just her mama thought Penny was such a great name, so she came up. So when they introduced, hey, this is Penny Brown, and then one day we talk, and she go, no, my real name is Cheryl.
Man, listen, I promise you, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but
No,
when
not
we-
coming from you.
when we was little, well, not little, but we was teenagers, and you know, we out playing at churches, and there was this guy that used to play the organ, and the back of his head, you know, from him, you know, getting his hair cut, you know, he had, you know, bumps, right,
Yeah,
from getting
them
his hair
bumps.
cut. So they used to call him Nestle Crunch.
Dang.
So
still ain't lying.
so growing up, you know, we always thought that his name was Nestle Crunch, and I was calling him that for years.
Crunch.
Nestle Crunch. Like, what's up, Nestle?
Now they had to do.
Oh no, that's
No,
y'all out of
we
pocket.
didn't know.
right.
We didn't know.
Y'all out of
We didn't know.
That's
And
out of
I
pocket
finally
right
found
there.
out what his real name was. I was like, oh,
Well, Sweet Tooth.
yeah,
Sweet Tooth.
That plays.
Right, and I
Yeah,
still
so
don't know
every time I
what
see
Sweet
him,
Tooth's government
me
name is.
neither.
I don't know. That boy can play
Man,
guitar though.
yeah,
That boy
awesome.
can play the
Every time you see
guitar.
him, Sweet Tooth, what up? What up, man? Yeah, bro.
Yeah, and that's how you know you go, because there's people probably call him by his government name. But whenever I see him, I go like,
swear
"What
I
up,
don't
Sweet
know
Tooth?"
Sweet Tooth real name to this day. And I've been,
Man,
like calling him that like over 30 years, bro. Like,
Yeah.
Sweet Tooth, what up? Oh, what's up, man?
and let me say this, man. My brother gave you and your brother a great compliment.
Really?
Yeah, he said, "Man, those Right House, man, they was cold. They could play."
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
so that's
it,
from my
man.
brother Gary.
Oh,
So,
appreciate it, Gary.
yeah,
Thank
so
you.
Gary, yeah, man.
Appreciate it, brother.
Hey DJ, did you get invited to Right Out Party?
Yeah, I was actually about to invite him over the air and tell him that I need to see him there. Because this
What
is
party?
an important milestone, though. It's my
It's
my
50.
50th,
He
man.
doing his 50.
I'm
Ooh,
having my
half a
50th.
century.
Yeah, man. Like, it ain't gonna never happen again.
Mhm.
But this year is real special to me because, you know, like I was saying yesterday on Shell's show, the morning of my 22nd birthday, I almost lost my life.
Mhm.
So here it is years later, man, that I'm getting ready to turn 50. Like, this means a lot.
Yeah.
Because
I think 23 would have meant a lot to me.
That's
To see you.
no,
Just
trust
know
me.
what happened at 22. 23 would have been like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm grateful, man. Like, I'm grateful.
I'm so
DJ,
great.
I want to see you in the building, brother.
Where at?
OG's. Gonna be OG.
Where that's at?
It's in Brownville. It's the old Olive Garden.
Okay.
You know, Mr. B's parking lot.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Fast and the joint, so.
We got a threat early in the program.
Got the
Said
rec.
no Ebony or Miss Deb at 7 a.m. today. You better bring it, Keith Parris. Put my whole name in. It wasn't Keith. It's like Keith Parris. Put
At least
the
they had your name right.
Yeah, you need a Knicks hat, DJ.
Yeah, I said never. I responded to that.
Hey, yeah, come on,
Never.
man. Yeah, hey, man, don't we stand 10 toes down, even if we suck again, we gonna stay.
Who's we?
The Bucks.
Yeah, who's we?
The Bucks.
Dude, is terrible, man. We gonna stay.
I got two words. I got 2 words for you. Bandwagon.
I'm gone.
2 words. Bandwagon.
Hey,
Okay.
We got to look at.
I'm
Keith
allergic
elbows,
to that
man.
shit.
You gotta look
All
at
right.
Keith elbows. He jumped off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Scarred
man.
up,
I'm
man.
all scarred up from
Jumping off.
because I was moving towards the back of it anyway. When Giannis left, it was like, oh man. And then when Finances, who asked me? Somebody asked me yesterday, what's the status of Finances?
He's over in Greek. Well, no, that's his other brother that's playing in Greek.
Right.
I thought he only signed a 1-year deal though.
With the Bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he should be.
Well, he
gone.
got waived.
No, he only signed a 1-year
Signed 1
deal.
year deal. He
Well,
didn't get waived.
I'm talking about his other brothers got waived, I think.
Yeah. I don't think
know.
Pat Riley gonna hire him.
Oh no, he's gonna be on the front row. He's gonna be the greatest.
Ooh, don't know, man. Those front row tickets at Heat games is
Man, when you got the best player.
yeah, Bam. Oh, we didn't talk about that, man. Your boy Bam stealing on Tyler Hero.
We did talk about that.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
No, we didn't.
We talked about that last week. I said, don't nobody care about that.
Oh, okay. That's what you said. Okay. Well, then nobody care about it. Call him up to the program.
Good morning. You're on air.
There we go. Good morning, fellas. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Is this Tyrone W?
Most certainly. It certainly is, man. Indeed. Good morning.
Morning.
And good morning, Ride Out, man. I appreciate your testimony, man, about what you went through, man. And like I said, God bless you, man. Walk with the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit will walk with you because He's certainly doing it. So, you know, it's a great testimony, man. It's glad to have you amongst the living with us here, you know. So it's one foot in front of the other one each and every day. That's the best you can do with it, man, from this point forward. So keep moving forward. So God bless you. Man, Clark Ride Out, man. What's up?
Who the hell is Clark Ride Out?
This guy just cloned me and Clark together.
Hey, man, it's Friday morning.
Clark Ride Out. There's enough Ride Outs over there. There's already like 19 of them. You done added another Ride Out.
I'm getting ready to run to the store and get my orange juice now, man. I mean, I'm aching around here. So two questions for you, and I'm going to listen to you over here. If it comes to this, if badass Miles has to go, Miles Turner, who do you start bringing in to don't answer it yet, just let it who do you start seeking to fill the pole, you know, the rim blocker, you know, Miles Turner, he's got to go, but if he even if it's after this season here, if he goes, who do you start looking to replace him with? Don't answer it yet, but let get your thoughts together on who you want to replace him with. Then when it comes to Ohtani and what's the other one's name? The Dodgers. Ohtani and what's the other one?
Mookie Betts?
No, the pitcher, man. The other one is the other Oriental fella.
Like Nagasaki or something like
yeah,
that?
right, yeah, him. Okay, now if you take both of them and because we handled it, remember, we handled them all season long. So now their worst 2 pitches out of both of them, instead of trying to hit, because we go out there after we get the Rockies. We got the Rockies up tonight through Sunday. And then we head out there. I think we head out there twice because we head out there for San Diego, the Dodgers, and then we head out there for the San Francisco boys. But anyway, if you take both of their worst 2 pitches instead of trying to hit home runs and just get on top of it and ground it, ground it into the plate or the dirt, the mound there, base hit instead of trying to get under it so much, because that's all you're doing is just popping up, you know. I can go out there and do that.
It's Yamamoto, my bad.
Yeah, well, that's good because I didn't have it anyway, but that's okay, DJ. I knew it was something like that, and I still ain't got it.
Yamamoto.
yamas and yamas. But anyway, though, because they're hittable, they can be hit. The thing is, you gotta try to drag bunt more, man. Just get the bunt down, especially with the bases loaded. By the time they get to the ball, the fellow on third, he done scored, man. So you done messed around and messed up so many runs with the bases
talking about
loaded.
the Brewers in general or the Brewers against the
Well, basically against the Dodgers because, but still, I mean, you're still leaving the bases loaded too much for me, personally.
Well, because they got some of the best pitching in baseball.
Huh?
They got some of the best pitching in baseball. And
who?
The Dodgers.
Well, we still handed it to them up.
Yeah, during the regular season.
If you get there, like I said, those two fellas there, if you get their two worst pitches and get on top of them before, instead of trying to get on top of the ball and pop it up for a home run, drive it, just because
the Brewers are not a power team. The Brewers are, they do a lot of small ball.
What's the boy that jumped the tracks? Contreras.
Yeah.
Man, that boy crushed that ball the other night.
Mm-hmm.
That ball was smoking, man. Look, don't tell me.
I mean, I think the Brewers, do they have the best record in the major leagues right now? Yeah, they're doing really well.
Major leagues last year.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
We do this.
Not the best, but they was one of the top teams.
They had the best record at one point.
I know they're the best record
at one point, yeah, but not at the finish though. Jermaine and Keith at one point, but yeah, not. They won the division, but they still didn't. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. They won the division, but they still. That's why they got in that first round, and that first round has been eating them up.
Last year they went to didn't they go to National League Championship Series last year against the Dodgers? So they went
the
further.
Final
They've
Four,
gone since '82.
Yeah.
No. When Fielder was here, they went to.
When Council, they went, it was like 2018 or 2019.
Right, they went Final Four then. Yeah. With what was the boy that went to New York there? The pitcher.
Peralta.
No, man.
Sabathia.
Sabathia, there you go. Thank you.
No, we didn't make
him.
We didn't make it.
They went to the Final Four then.
No, we didn't. We lost in a wild card.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected. Okay, right. Yeah, we got beat.
Because remember, that was the first time we made the playoffs in a very long time with CC.
Right. Yeah, we got. They beat us. I think it was. Man, I forget who it was, but somebody beat us. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and answer the question.
We've been in the National League now.
We've been in the National League.
National League.
But we're in when Sabathia.
As long as I've been alive, we've been in the National League.
All right, man. Well, thank you.
Yeah, answer the question about Badass Miles, though.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
What's the thing about Ryan Clark?
Oh, you talking about the ESPN?
They got laid off. There was a layoff.
But they did him dirty, though.
Yeah,
they did. They
laid him off while they was on there.
Utah got laid off too.
Cam Newton.
Or they should have told him before.
He went on.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, and I know this from experience as being a manager. When you wake up that day, you know that you firing that person. Matter of fact, before you go to sleep the night prior that you're gonna get rid of that person. And so they should have, especially with all of those mass layoffs, they knew what they were doing. So that was classless.
He was all right. I mean, I didn't see him as great, but okay.
No, I mean, it's not that. It's just that, how you do stuff. You know what I mean? That was
integrity.
Yeah, that was tasteless.
Okay. I don't know how you ever do a layoff and it's ever good.
Well, if you're on air right now and then you get some text messages, hey, they said you fired. And then all of a sudden you go to commercial break and you no longer with us. That's pretty tasteless. You could have stayed home.
Just got a text.
You could have stayed home.
Pretty Ricky had left the building.
They wait till you get to work and fire you.
Like all of my gas.
Well, sometimes you wait till
they
get
like
to
getting
work.
fired on your day off.
Sometimes you wait till they get to work because they need to turn some stuff in.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
You ain't gonna use me cutting my house.
I tell you what,
I'm not coming to your house
unless it was egregious.
It may be some slow singing and flower bringing.
At the county, they wait to the end of your shift on Friday.
I know.
Wait till the end of your shift on Friday.
Yep. There you go, Keith.
And then they have the sheriff's deputies coming up
you out.
Right, and they confiscate your computer. And see ya.
My mama always talk about she
like
always sees somebody getting escorted out.
Sound like experience.
Oh, no, I used to be a manager.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so you can fire plenty people.
No, No,
They
man.
fired themselves.
Yeah. It was.
That's what you find
I will
out.
tell you, it was difficult firing. What do you think the number one reason for county employees being separated?
Late.
The absolute
Attendance.
Tender.
It is so rare to see a county employee fired because of performance, because of everything, all the hoops you have to jump through.
Mhm.
You know,
You
the
gotta be well
documentation,
documented,
progressive discipline, all those things you have to do. And then some people they do just enough. Because I used to say that there were rare that you had an employee who couldn't. Most of them wouldn't. So how do you get there?
Right.
So people do just enough
Right.
to that.
I tell people all the time, even with the job that I manage, the work isn't hard. Anybody could do it. It's just a matter of if you are going to do it consistently.
Right. And people will do this. And I'd always have conflicts with the union. Okay. People work at about 70% capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get you up to at least 80. People act like we adding work. No.
Right.
This is the work that we pay you to do.
You've been supposed to been doing.
So
This is the work you said you was willing to do.
You signed up for it.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Now I done fired some cats on stage before during the show.
Oh, you was like Michael Jackson. Job gone. Job gone.
Craig. What are you calling them?
No, you
Off the track, Greg.
you Debo.
No, man. Man, we was on stage playing, man, and this cat showed up to the gig extremely
Oh yeah, he gotta
high.
go. He gotta go.
And I mean playing backwards.
But
And,
you didn't get fired.
oh yeah. No, I got fired from church. Listen, I was at Evangelistic Temple. I'll never forget it. Dr. Carter, if you listening, I love you. I told you this story when you came to the station. Never forget it. It was during the convocation, bro. I show up to church. Now, you know, on the movie Friday, how Big Worm had his hair when he was like, "Where's my money, Smokey?"
Yeah, I know Big Ron.
I showed up to church like that, bro.
With
Like-
the girl is in.
Bro, like it
Really?
was just freshly.
Why would you do that?
Because at that particular time, that was the style. That was how, we
Not
was,
to church.
bro. Listen, I didn't care. Listen, I went to church because I needed at that particular time, but I was a musician.
You needed what?
I needed God. Amen.
No, you needed your
So-
ass whooped. That's what you needed.
So listen, I show up at church with a suit on, looking like
And guess
looking
what?
like Pretty Ricky.
Let him keep telling because he
Dude.
really did get it whooped. What
Listen,
happened?
Boy, I'm on the organ. Sister Carter walk in. She look at my hair. She said, She tapped me on the shoulder. Get off. Jeff. She called Jeff. Jeff got on. She looked at me and said, "Don't you ever come to church like that ever again."
You know that's atrocious, and not the rollers. That's atrocious in
I'm
itself.
talking about
But the
hot.
fact that he said that he had on a suit, what was you looking at,
bro,
in the mirror?
bro, that was the hey, but listen though, you have to
I
understand.
hear that part.
No, wait, hold on. Listen, you have to understand that I had the one. No, listen, I had 1 foot in the church. and
They ain't
1
got
foot-
nothing. They ain't
No,
got nothing to do.
no,
They ain't got nothing to do with
listen,
1 foot in the
just
church
listen,
and 1 foot out.
Just listen
It
to
was
my
a poor fashion choice. That's
no,
what that
listen
was.
to my experience, bro.
Okay.
At that particular time, wearing your hair like that because of how Snoop was wearing his hair,
Mhm,
DJ Quick was wearing his hair.
mhm.
That was the style.
Were you at a
then.
rap concert?
No, but again, having 1 foot in the street and 1 foot in the church, that's what happened.
But
So I got one question. Hold on.
Okay.
I got one question.
Right.
Was this your first time ever going to church?
No,
So you talking
So
about
I
1
was
foot
going-
in, 1 foot out?
No.
It ain't no excuse.
no,
man.
but what I'm saying is I was going to church like that all the time.
With the rollers in your hair?
No, bro,
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't have the rollers. I'm just
It
talking
was
about
it was a
it
fresh
was
curl.
that look as if you took the curling iron
Oh, okay. I
and
know what you
curled your
said. I know
hair
what you
like
said.
that. It was that style
'Cause the curl.
that men was wearing back then.
But you said on this occasion you had the rollers in your hair.
No, I
you
said
did
I, I had it curled.
Oh.
It was curl. I didn't have the rollers
Oh,
in.
okay.
It was
Okay.
curls.
I'm glad you
So it was that
clarified that.
style.
I'm glad you
No,
clarified that.
No, I was
I don't know if he's still alive. Bishop Charles Ellis down in Chicago.
Yeah.
I know he was a musician.
Yeah.
He used to play for Clay Evans.
Yeah.
Clay Evans had that broadcast, right?
Right.
Sunday night at 9.
Right.
Yeah. And he said, I'm over there playing something. And Clay Evans, man, this dude is a perfectionist. He said, if people could hear it on the broadcast, he said, get that nigga off the
Get him off.
He said, it went over the air.
Get him off.
He said, get that nigga off the organ. Oh, man. Hey, y'all listening to Community Voice. The phone lines open 414-444-5250. It's a free flow Friday. When we get back, I guess we'll get serious here for a moment. And some things we need to talk about. We'll be right back. All right, let me do a couple of things. Join us Friday, July 31st at 11 a.m. for our 11th annual Community Resource Fair at the Clinton Rose Senior Center, 3045 North Dr. Martin Luther King Drive. There will be tons of resources, money giveaways every hour, state fair tickets, the MPD ice cream truck, which I always love, Versity mobile unit. They're signing us up to give blood that day. The Mobile Survive Alive house, book bag giveaway, demo drive of a Tesla, and fun for the kids. That's the 11th annual WNOV Community Resource Fair at the Clinton Rose Senior Center, 3045 North Dr. Martin Luther King Drive. It starts at 11 a.m.
I never gave blood. I may do that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So anyway, I think it's part of the blood drive, so they want us, if possible, to be able to give.
I don't even know my blood type.
Let me do this real quickly. I this morning reached out to the 5 remaining Democratic candidates for governor to invite them on the program to talk about their gubernatorial races. So again, I just sent it out this morning. We'll see who responds. But I just I don't know. This is interesting for me because at first I was just it's a primary. It then turned into something else.
Mm-hmm.
And and let me also do this. Last night, and let me thank Miss Eve Hall, Faith Colas, and the other sister who put together, there was a Assembly, Wisconsin State Legislature Assembly meet and greet of the candidates last night. And I'm going to tell you, man, there's some very impressive people running. I mean, when you just look at their resumes, let me give you who these folks are, who was there last night. Let me do my notes. I was actually doing journalism last night. Okay, in the 12th district, there was Jordan Roman. In the 8th district, there was Ishmael Luna. Very interesting backstory. District 13, which abuts my district, where Supreme is my state rep, is Amy Zimmerman and David Sanchez. Both these folks were very impressive. District 18 is Margaret Arney. She's currently the incumbent. District 19 was Bridget Manciani. She was found out that she was related to some people I went to high school with. And then in the District 61, LaWanda Chambers and Ben Brist. LaWanda Chambers has appeared on the program with Housing Inc. When they come on, I think she's the chair of their board. And then Ben Brist, who was West Point educated. It was, some of these folks, I was kind of thinking to myself, are you overqualified? But it was really impressive to meet a lot of these folks. Jordan Roman is an identical twin. Everybody knows his brother Jeff. And but they were all very impressive. So I thought it was a great opportunity. So again, shout out to the Greater Milwaukee Urban League for putting that on. I wish more people from the community would have been there, get a chance to see some of these candidates, but it was good. So just wanted to do that shout out. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, you're on air.
Oh, good morning. First thing I want to say, I feel the reason why we as black people can't get ahead because we have too many Uncle Ruckus niggas that's holding us back. when you look at these other communities like the Jews or some of these diehard white people, you don't got them doing that, you know. And then when you look at what's going on, they have this fantasy in their mind that if if you lick the bottom of master's feet, you're gonna get praise, you know. And I just feel like it's a detriment to black people. And my question is, what's up with our cousin up here in Madison raising all this hell about the man getting shot? He's raising all this hell. Oh, I'm against this, I'm against that. And then he's gonna say, well, this is why I did. This is why I voted for Trump.
Who are you talking about specifically? Tom Tiffany?
Well, no, not Tom Tiffany. It was a guy who got shot in Madison by a cop.
Right.
And when they had the cop come, it was somebody, a sheriff. It was people, doing like a I can't think of a word. When they
Press conference.
Press conference. So he decided to bombard up here, and the crowd like, yeah. He's doing all this yapping and all this. He's against Zionism and all this, and he said, yeah, that's why I vote for Trump. So I'm saying to myself, like, you do know all the stuff you say you against is what Trump for. I don't know if he was high. I don't know if he was drunk. I don't know if he was from the projects of Madison. But Cousin made us look, well, he didn't make us look stupid, but he made himself look real bad. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, you try to portray you're for black people and you're against all this stuff being happening to black people, but then you're gonna say you stand with Trump. Trump is not for no blacks, no niggas, or nothing. And then it's always the one who looks like he missed a couple of meals. He's been walking the street all night searching in garbage cans for crack and probably Bluetoothing with needles.
Al, you use your quota for today too, just to let you know.
I'm just saying to make us look bad.
Well, and that's why I think for him it was more attention. It wasn't, I think, and the fact that they let him go on for 20 minutes was crazy. That's the crazy part of it. Like, shut this dude down. He's not being productive.
You know what make me conflicted? I'm conflicted because often we speak of, the black community and black people as, togetherness, or at least we seek that, right? But then on the other hand, when individuals may say some wild stuff, we have that feeling like, oh, he making us look bad. But I wonder if other races feel that way when one of their peers or like ethnic individuals say something or do something crazy, and they be like, "Oh man, he making us look bad."
Yeah, and skin don't make kin,
right?
And I think that's part of the whole thing. And I understand that we kind of in the same boat, but I think we can differentiate between. Now, first of all, we didn't have a meeting where we elected him to be the spokesman for all black people,
right?
So that's just one dude getting up, and I think it was just more about attention. This is turning in. It was serious from the giddy up, and it's
because just off of what you explaining, I didn't see that, Al, but just off of what you explaining, he don't speak for none of us.
Yeah, and
off the stuff that he was saying or that you explaining that he said, so he can't really, he didn't make me look bad, just because.
Right. And it wasn't like they could come in and peel his head after.
But
there were some people probably saying you need to shut him down, but then if you shut him down based on the whole optics, and so let me give the police chief, Mr. Patterson, credit for showing patience when it came to him. This is a tough situation, and when you look at the people out there protesting, this is going to be a tough one. Now, the problem that you have, thanks, Al. The problem that you have is that. Now, I believe this, I actually saw the unedited video, that people had out there, and I didn't see, but, the ones with the news, they stop it, but I saw the unedited video. And when you look at that, you have to ask the question, was the response appropriate based on, now they said this dude got cut with the knife, but then he shot him. I mean,
So
ooh.
I mean, it's always about race.
Of course.
So I've seen videos where white people have guns
Nice.
pointed at police, and police have a conversation like we're having right now.
Yeah.
Now, should you have a weapon pointed at or to anybody?
Which he didn't. He didn't point
No.
the weapon. They found the weapon
Right.
when they tried to arrest him.
2, if 3 people have this individual down on the ground,
Thank you, DJ.
doesn't that mean that either they're attempting to subdue him or they have subdued that individual? And if that's a no, then how many more individuals, or what needs to be seen and done in order for police to be aware, okay, that this individual is subdued?
Because when the dude, and I don't know if it's the same guy that shot him, you can see him like stomping.
Yeah, somebody kicked him.
Yeah, and that the whole thing is, I don't know. That is.
And what's up with the body cams?
Yeah, why don't they have body cams?
I don't understand that. If Milwaukee got body cams, why does Madison don't have body cams?
And
I don't understand
that needs to. And I don't want to hear anything. I do not want to hear anything about funding and money, because law enforcement have a very large budget. This is across America, so they're able to have these cameras. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you have it? Because now it goes to another question. Mind you, we have seen in the past that, you know, individuals have lied on official police documents.
What?
Now, without these cameras, you know, how many more instances have occurred just within the past 5 years that have gone documented? But there may be some more to that story.
What do you mean there's more to the story?
Well, people lie on documentation. And so if they're able to just say this is what happened, and with that documentation, you just go
here's
with
the
it.
problem they have with that is you have a video that citizens took. The video that we're watching is one that a citizen took.
Right. But what I'm saying is, what about the instances before this incident?
And I agree.
Without video.
And that's why they said, but even with video cameras, you know, the latitude they give when you're supposed to turn it on, the whole thing. Now it's been shown, studies have shown that usually body cams will exonerate cops, right? I mean, it kind of shows that some of the actions that they were taking were justified. In this instance, though, the question is, first of all, you had 4 police officers that could not subdue one guy. How do you get to lethal force?
Mind you, the body cams, I mean, they claim, some of them claim it's for the protection of the police. It's really for the protection of the public.
I think it's
because
both.
whatever they say, that's what people and the perception really goes with.
Sometimes the and I'm using this term, sometimes the officer was justified in the action that they took. Sometimes. So I think it should be a question of fairness where it protects not only the officer, but it also protects the citizen.
But here's the thing, Keith. Who is the judges, or who are the judges, and the public are more likely to agree with and follow their story with what I said, or with what
I think it depends.
Police and law enforcement said.
Have always gotten, especially go to juries, the benefit of the doubt, right?
So that's why I say that body cam is for my protection.
Now,
because they could say whatever, and people are going to lean towards it.
But let me say that part of the fact that where this happens is important, because it happened in Dane County. Dane County is the most liberal county. And so if this does, and I understand now they're looking at a criminal investigation into it. If this, it's going to be a different jury pool than if this happened in Waukesha. Daryl Brooks was never going to get the benefit of the doubt because of where the crime was committed and where they held it, right?
But you also see what he did.
I got that. And all I'm saying is, but that jury pool makes a difference. Let me get the call and then we'll go to break. Excuse me. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning. You're on there.
Good morning.
What's going on, brothers?
What's
All right,
happening?
yourself?
Hey, did you see that video when that dude snatched that mic from that police and told him how it was that TMJ?
That's what we was talking about.
Okay. My fault. I didn't hear that part.
Yeah.
He
Well,
went on there, man. I guess that's how you're supposed to do it.
no,
I'm surprised.
that's not how
I'm
you're
surprised
supposed
that
to
he
do it.
tackled him.
No,
I'm
don't be
surprised that he
encouraging.
tackled him.
He was up for 20 minutes. What did he accomplish?
Oh, 20 minutes?
Yeah, he was up for 20. He disrupted that news conference for 20 minutes, and they just let him go on. Because I know people are venting their anger, and the anger is understandable, but then when you look at it in the long run, what's happening, and I think I'm a if I can, I know somebody knows they had Pastor Marcus Allen on. He's the pastor at Mount Zion there in Madison. See if I can get him on to kind of talk about, because he spoke at the press conference, but it's never cool. Let's do this. What else you got, man? That's it. Okay. You are listening to Community Voice. Caller, I see you. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Community Voice. Caller, we thank you for your patience. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. You're on air.
Thank you for taking my call. I watched the shooting on yesterday and the press conference. One thing that was disturbing about the press conference was, with your chief there, it seemed like to me no one should have been able to enter that area like they did. It could have been unfriendly company coming in. That was one thing that was disturbing. The next thing that was disturbing is I didn't really understand all his rambling and running, and I like what the chief was saying. He was calm and he was doing his usual, and people are frustrated, and I don't blame them. Now that's that part. But what was disturbing about the call, they said it was a man on a bike checking doors and doing whatever. So here come the first person along on a bike. You don't know if he's the one that's guilty, because they didn't describe the clothes he had on or anything else. At least I didn't hear that part. Snatched him off his bike. Now it's 3 trained officers. When you grabbed him off of that bike, the next thing that should have been done was securing his arms and putting handcuffs on it. That would be mine. Of course, if he was black, he would have got thrown down on the ground and a knee on his neck. But he was black, so I was still shocked that didn't happen. And the next thing, they said an officer was
I thought he
cut.
was Mexican or something.
Well,
I'm sorry.
He has Hispanic name, a Spanish name. I mean, he could have been Puerto Rican, could have been Dominican, but he has a Spanish name.
Okay. That's why I didn't think that he was black. He was a person of color.
Mm-hmm.
But when they said the officer was cut with this knife, I didn't see any blood on that knife, nor did I hear that they called the ambulance, nor did I hear he went to the hospital and he's doing okay.
Right.
Did anybody else hear that?
No, I didn't either.
Okay.
Maybe they'll say, you know how they always say, more will come out, more information will come out. Maybe that's going to be one of the more.
They released Mr. Ruiz's criminal record.
Of course.
They released that.
Yeah. You know something? And what does that have to do with what happened then?
Nothing. Because they would have to been aware that that's who they were looking for, right? Because he did have, I think he did 30 months for assault on a police officer. So, I mean, they would have to know prior to that was it. The question that a lot of people ask is, was this level of violence really necessary to subdue him?
I mean, but he
So
was
that's why
already
the
down on
question
the
was asked.
ground with three
Right.
officers. Multiple officers had him down on the
Right.
ground. So
Right.
I like that's just the question that I asked. You know, what does it take for an officer to observe that an individual is subdued or being subdued, and then no
And the
more
person,
excessive force is needed?
okay, and the person that shot him was the officer that had the most time on the job.
Yeah.
And did you notice the police officer, the female police officer that came over with the taser? And when she handed it to him, it seemed like they took it. And then all of a sudden, someone said, knife, knife. And he was the one that said knife and shot 3 times. Did you see how when she backed up, she put her hand to her face? She was like in shock.
Yeah, I don't think police officers ever get used to seeing someone dying. And I
Okay,
don't,
my
and it's
thing
so
is,
rare in Madison. I mean, it's really rare in Madison.
okay, my thing is this. She seemed to be shocked at the behavior that was taken.
Right.
She handed him the taser, and the next thing she knows, she hears someone saying, knife, knife, and shot 3 times. And I guess they shot him in the head.
Yep.
So my question is, don't start talking to me after someone's been murdered
Right.
about the police, do they have enough training? If they don't have enough training and you've been on the job, I don't know, this was the senior person. And watch now. He's going to, I hope he don't get to entice these other 2 cops to go along with what he did.
Well, I think that, that happens when they do the reports. The problem, though, is that video has been available or is available to the public. And so that police report
They lie
needs
to us
to
all
be
the
able
time.
to mirror,
They lie to us all the time.
need to mirror what people saw in the video. Now,
Why
they're
don't
going
they
to
have body cams though? Because
they
Okay,
rejected
that
it for
was
whatever
private
reason.
there's
video.
still parts of this whole video that are still missing. There are still questions that need to be
But
answered.
having a body cam
Right.
wasn't
Would-
going to
would-
necessarily stop
They
what
didn't
he
have a
did.
body
it
cam.
wouldn't stop what he did, but I'm saying it would answer questions, because these questions are still going to be left unanswered. And the only thing that we are going to be left with is the statements of these people who killed that man.
Well,
And you know something?
No, that's not true. The video evidence will also be a part of it. That you
But
have many
Keith,
instances where people did not
talking
have
about-
video,
How
and
many
now
I'm
you
talking
times?
about before that, like Jermaine had just asked, how did he even get to the ground? Did they kick him off?
They
Did he
snatched
fall
him off the bike.
Right. Like that's something that we didn't see in the video.
right. But what I'm saying is that you have many instances
And
where
then where is the knife?
if people don't
did
have
the
body
knife come
cam,
about?
now we're dependent on the police report, and then you can go in and kill the credibility of eyewitnesses. With Michael Brown, the whole thing was that cop executed Michael Brown. But what they were able to do, and when the DOJ came in, they could discredit the witnesses just enough that when you go before a jury, that cop is going to get the benefit of the doubt. And that's
And
all
you
you
know
need,
something?
because you have to convict beyond a reasonable doubt. And if there's any doubt, then a person can be acquitted. So I think there's a lot of things there. I agree with you in terms of their questions about what led up to this interaction. I don't think body cams would have said, if you said this is why I did it and the body cam is showing something else.
Well, you know the next question they're asking, did that person have any interaction with the police that shot him? I didn't know why that question was raised. And the chief said, I don't know. But it would be something that it would be looked into. And the next thing, I could have been a criminal, but witnessed something. And you're going to go back and take my past record with what my eyeballs actually witnessed?
Yeah.
I know I was on the jury once, and the police officer thought he just really had that case beat. But it did not make sense. That someone's climbing over the fence with these gym shorts on, with a 45 tucked in his band, and he jumped over the fence, and it didn't fall out, or it just didn't fall out. It none of it made sense. Well, anyway, make the long story short, we didn't believe what the officer said.
And see, and that's the whole piece. If this officer is charged, then it'll come down to a jury, and then it'll come down to the consideration of the evidence that's presented. If I'm a good defense attorney, I'm going to try to discredit any witness that gets up, because what I'm trying to do in that jury.
Why would you do that?
Because I'm trying to get my client off.
You want to get a thief off. That's why criminal law is fascinating. Really, it is, because you're going against the grain, and that's precisely why when you watch TV and you get these criminal lawyers and they put them on, and the drug dealers put them on retainer, and they show up at their house talking all crazy to them, telling you better get me off, and I know where your son go to school and this, that, and the other, and I'm paying for this house and all that, because they know they're liars and they were guilty, and you got them off.
Well, but I'm
Now,
saying,
how do we
but
sleep
that
at
same
night?
right that protects that criminal is the same right that protects you. It's called due process. And I'm
Yeah, but
sure
don't
if
let me
you
know
had a
that you're
defense
guilty.
lawyer, you want your
Okay?
defense
I
lawyer to
could
do
criminal
anything to
law,
get you
and
off.
It looked like this situation, but if I have an inkling that you raped and killed and beat someone like that, don't come to my office.
Okay. Well, you wouldn't
Okay,
be a
have a
defense.
great-
You wouldn't be a defense attorney. I'm just saying, but that's the defense attorney's responsibility, is to go in to do whatever they can to get their client off, and right within the legal bounds to get them off. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to discredit any witness, or try to discredit any witness that comes in. Right? I mean that. And again, if that's you sitting there, you're gonna want them to do whatever they can legally to get you to help you beat that case.
Especially if you paid hefty for your lawyer.
And this is why I say, the body cam not being present is detrimental to this particular case, because they were stating that a knife was available. How did it become available, and when did it become available? It will answer a lot of questions as to what led up to that particular person being shot. Did it just fall out? Did they search for it, or did he bring it out on his own? You know what I'm saying? Like, all of those questions we can't really answer just from those public videos.
Let me also point this out as a journalist. Different response, wasn't it, in Madison?
Mm-hmm.
Different response than we saw in Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm.
Different response than we saw in Kenosha. Different response than we saw in Atlanta. And I'm not saying one is right or the other, but that was the one thing that was really striking to me, was different response we saw here in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So it says a lot about the makeup of that community, in terms of how, now they did go and disrupt the press conference, they did disrupt the concert, but we didn't see the things that we saw down in Kenosha. And it brought Kenosha back up to me, because I don't really believe that it was people in Kenosha who did that damage. I believe that there were outside people who came in, took advantage of that situation, like burning up the car lot. Why would I burn up? And I think one of the telling things was when they went and burned up a barber shop. Ain't no black people burning up no barber shop.
No.
Come on, man. People will take advantage of a situation. I do believe that there are people who wait for situations like this to go in and agitate. I think it happens on both sides. But I just thought the response was different. I'm not saying their response was better. I'm just saying their response was different in Madison in terms of how people dealt with it. And so then the question becomes, sometimes is it the people in the community, if there's violence and destruction, or is it people coming in from outside of the community because they're trying to make a political statement and create chaos? Why don't we do this? We'll do the perspective, and then we can go to break.
Okay. We've often heard and even recited the common phrase, nobody's perfect. Yet our response to one's flaws and imperfections are as fierce as the thunder we hear in a storm. If this is a commonly recited and known phrase, then why is our reaction so visceral? Could this be a case of hearing but not listening? Explained but no understanding, saying, but no doing. One would assume that since we know that no one's perfect, our ability to recognize imperfection would be close to perfection. And even then, we could realize that we still fall short of perfection. Through life, it was experience that taught our elders and ourselves that nobody's perfect. In the aftermath of many mistakes and many shortcomings, the opportunity to gain more presented itself. Gain more skills, gain more awareness, gain more knowledge. Imperfection has the word perfection in it, which would lead you to believe that it's near. A lot of our frustration with others' mistakes and imperfections stem from differences. Difference of opinion, difference in education, difference in upbringing. All three of these things shape a centralized ideology of how we believe things should be. Differences often clash, and our response to those differences are often mad. Mistakes are complicated and can be learned from. Mistakes are also maddening, but what is the bigger issue? The fact that the mistake or flaw was presented, or the unrealistic expectation that you placed on that person, place, or thing. Nobody's perfect is no ordinary saying because it's repeated all the time, but by our responses, one could believe that we don't understand or accept it. It's a simple saying that if you know it, then you would show it through forgiveness, through grace, and through understanding that despite shortcomings, we all can still finish the race.
All right. Appreciate you. 414-444-5250. We got a Let's Talk caller. You can get in right before we go to break. I did mention. Okay, get the caller.
I was just gonna say, just shout out to everybody who's listening on YouTube and Facebook. Facebook Live. Appreciate everybody for joining the conversation.
And again, ready? Got a caller? Caller, welcome to the program.
I just had to call in
Mm-hmm.
because that perspective was right on time and a good reminder. And I'm the one, and I'm sure many other people have been telling you the same thing. I'm hoping that you are keeping a scrapbook and you publish all of those perspectives because they have been excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. What? Send me a whisper test. What?
No, I ain't.
A prayer. Why you yell at the Lord? Whisper a prayer. All right, y'all. All right, you're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. The phone line's open, 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. Now, I'm hoping the emails went through. Maybe that's the problem, man. We were talking about the gubernatorial candidates, so I have reached out to all 5 of the remaining Dems. Hopefully, you get a chance to come on the program.
I got questions for all 5 of them.
Yeah, we're good. Submit them, and we'll see what there's more questions now. All I know is Will Martin was ear to ear when I saw him, because it's just like, how do you make sure you don't do any damage that's going to hurt Dems going forward in November? And I think it's a very delicate dance that folks have to kind of perform. And, it's,
I mean,
and then if your candidate doesn't win, we still can't afford to sit it out. I'm just saying that's 35,000 feet.
But also, that's one of the sayings that kind of keep us behind too. You know, so now I gotta vote for this person just because, you know, it ain't nothing else to do, which, you know, people have their right to like not not move forward with
then
that
I don't want to
candidate.
hear those people who decide to sit it out complain about the outcome, right? That is probably, you know, less than desirable. And I know, because somebody asked me yesterday, what if they both bad? Okay, well, they can't be equally as bad. I mean, at some point, you're going to have to put some factor in that's going to change. And
But isn't that what I said in 2020? I mean, not 2020, 2016. They both was bad.
Yeah, but one was worse than the other, and we experienced the worst then. You can't convince me
So now
the things that we experienced under Donald Trump, we would have experienced under Hillary Clinton.
We
You
don't
can't
know.
convince me.
We don't know. I mean,
I think paper.
I mean, police brutality was going.
Yeah, but she wouldn't sanction it. She wouldn't encourage it.
I don't know. She called people super predators.
Okay.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Y'all was just talking about something that happened 20
she
years prior to her running.
She was one of the people that was big on the crime bill.
Do you vote for Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Okay. He authored the crime bill.
Right. But then he said that, you know, that was like a mistake.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So he at least showed a little bit of remorse. Now, whether that was genuine or not, you know, that's one. But he at least
what he did had more impact than the statement that she made, because what he did was a policy
I
and
agree
a law.
with that. But I'm saying, you know, you're talking about two different races. I'm just talking about specifically with 2016. That was one of the things that people stated is that,
I'm talking about a selective,
they both was bad.
I'm talking about a selective application of standards. And I understand it's all subjective, and I'm not even but I'm just saying how we can be so subjective. We lose the objectivity, because the reality is going to be based in objectivity, things that actually happen.
I put everything in that candidate's hand, you know, and
well, that's not fair.
It's not fair?
No, because some things candidate can't control.
We just gonna always disagree on this.
Yeah, but you don't control everything.
No, it's not about controlling everything. But I can control my ability to gain a voter, just like people control the ability to lose a voter. And so if we just seen a poll right now, obviously it's a little outdated, but it said that there was 45% of the people were undecided. So it is in each candidate's control to sway those undecided voters. Now, just because I don't get that voter doesn't mean that I didn't attempt to do it, but I have to do everything I can in order to get that undecided voter on my team
and be right. And there are other circumstances that are so much bigger. I don't think John McCain ran a bad campaign, but John McCain was up against a very unpopular Republican president coming out. The economy turned bad. He couldn't control that. He couldn't control Bush. Those things impact the campaign. It's not just based on what the candidate does. Candidate can do all the right things, and there's certain things that's outside of his or her control. It could factor in. I'm not always saying it doesn't. You have people who are bad candidates, but you've had people who ran great campaigns and still lost because the mood of the country is going in such a way where, okay, you did everything right, but this is where people are.
So your messaging wasn't as good as it could have been.
You can do the best messaging, but people are not receptive of the message. I don't care how persuasive you like to think you are.
Okay, so then if your messaging wasn't that persuasive, then it wasn't that good.
No, you just have some people. I have a very compelling message. It ain't going to fly in Washington County like it's going to fly in Milwaukee County.
Keith.
I don't care how good the message is. Those folks in Washington County are probably going to vote Republican regardless of what I take to them.
Right, but that's just one
So
county.
that ain't the candidate.
But that's just one county. Just like we relate this to sports, you know, if as a coach, I'm not directly, I'm indirectly involved and I'm directly involved. But at the end of the day, it depends on the players or the voters. But it is still my duty to prepare my players so that they can have a shot to win.
I can do
the game.
I can do everything I'm supposed to do right. And something outside of my control that can happen can then have impact on that game or on
I'm
that
saying
contest.
Don't worry about that. Just
no,
run
I'm not
your
saying
race.
don't worry about them. So you run your race, but then you blame them. And I'm going, no, there were some things that they didn't control.
No, the two things that we talked about were exceptions to those rules. We talked about Mandela, and then we talked about Hillary Clinton. And I said those two races, there were exceptions.
I didn't talk about
those.
I didn't talk
rules.
about Mandela.
No,
I'm saying
you talked about last week when you talked about 1%, and I said, well, 1%. That means that you had a chance. So there was probably something that could have been tweaked or something in order for you to get over the hump. And you was saying like, no, that's not the case.
No, I'm saying because there was other factors that went into that race, and they weren't the primary factors, but they were still factors that had impact. That's all I'm arguing.
And I say, hey, if I lose by 1 point or if I lose by 1%, then there was something that maybe I missed or I underestimated, or it was still something that I could have did to potentially get me over.
I think most candidates, when they do their postmortem, will sit up and tell you, yeah, I made a mistake here, I made a mistake there. But then over and beyond me, there are other things that I just don't control. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, you're on air.
Good morning, Keith and DJ. How are you all?
Good morning.
May I ask who I'm speaking with?
This is Lakeisha Myers.
Hey,
Dr. Myers?
Oh, yeah, it's me.
Oh, man, it's been a long time.
I know.
Wait, so those are the only people you don't speak to?
I mean, thank you, Jermaine.
You're welcome.
Is Clark in there? Hello, Superman.
Yeah, he in there.
Okay.
Oh, did you hear him over there? She said, hey, Superman.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Miss Parker. Hey, Miss Myers.
Ear to ear.
One of the things I wanted to say, I couldn't hear the last caller, but I heard a bit of what DJ was saying, and Keith, your retort. DJ was talking about people who are choosing not to vote. And let me say this. I think abdication is irresponsible. There are candidates that run for office, and there is no such thing as a perfect candidate. You don't have to be in love with somebody to vote for them. You don't have to agree with them 100% of the time to vote for them. Most of the people that probably should run for office never will. So you are left with the people who put themselves out there and are trying to do their best, we hope, with whatever intention they have to vote in your best interest when you talk about legislative politics. So I think that when people talk about, oh, I didn't like them because they did this or they did that, in the totality of everything that they have to deal with in that particular role, and I think you were talking about the governor's race, you got people on the that have put themselves out there to be your governor. So to say I don't like a person, or I don't know enough about them, or all of these things, people make excuses all the time, and I just think it's simple-minded and it's ridiculous. Because then Keith is correct. You got the same people who complain about the level of taxes that they pay. People complain about schools. People complain about all of these things. Yet most of these things are controlled by somebody that's elected. Mm-hmm. I mean, you go to school board meetings and there's nobody in the room. Right. Yet we have 9 people on the school board, and most people don't know who their school board director is. A lot of people didn't know who their state representative was. All of these things. So when you see, the candidates are doing the best they can with the money that they have to do it with, because money answereth all things. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. You can have the best message in the world, but playing at the gubernatorial level, if you can't get on TV, if you can't buy ads, if you can't do all of those things, nobody's going to know who you are.
But shouldn't that be in your recollection to understand this. If this is what's needed, and I'm not able to get there by a certain internal deadline, then why keep running, or why run at all? If that is
You have
a
to keep
real
running.
big barrier.
That's the point. Candidates will always run. Somebody's got to lose.
Well, let me
That's
ask you,
the thing.
well, let me ask you a
That's the
question
process.
in terms of there are things that's outside of the candidate's control, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that can factor in an election. I think, people go in and they DJ's just hard. He don't give passes. But I think that when people go in and they do the postmortem, there was a whole lot of things that lined up against Hillary Clinton. There was things that she did self-inflicted wounds, but then, the fact that there was disinformation being put out there by the Russians.
Exactly. And when you add the fact that she had a husband who was a previous president, and his things that happened under his administration, when she was not an elected official.
Right.
People were still giving her grief about something that he did.
Right.
And then there's a double
but also
standard.
things that she said
When
too.
you add race and when you add, being a woman into it, that's an added layer of stress, if you will. I'll just use the word stress on a candidate to even run.
Mm-hmm. And when you say that, because it was Joe Biden who championed the crime bill, but Joe Biden, he didn't catch it like Hillary Clinton caught it for a statement that was, ascribed to
and
her.
It wasn't even her original statement.
Right.
It wasn't her original statement. You ignore all of the members of the Congressional Black Caucus that voted for the crime bill,
mm-hmm.
and what all of the things that were in the crime bill. So people focus on one piece of the crime bill, which was the minimum sentences part of the crime bill.
Mm-hmm.
But a part of the crime bill was the Violence Against Women Act.
Yep. Well,
So
and I think black elected officials in a tough situation because they were dealing with the brunt of the violence that was related to the drug trade.
You got gang warfare because of turf and crack and everything else that was happening at the time. Hey,
I wouldn't say I'm tough. I think that I come from the school of Keith, and he came from the school of
don't be pulling me in.
I
ain't never seen you before. I don't even.
And you came from the school of
Mrs. Now you pulling me in. Oh no,
Mrs. Gladys Wanzo, when she said that the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement.
Right.
So if you lost, and I don't care by how many margins, there was something that you could improve upon, and that is just always something that I will continue to believe.
And agree. But you know what? One of the things that I wish the public would understand is, because you said something where you said, I'm putting to a certain extent, I'm paraphrasing, but you said, basically, I'm putting my control in your hands, or putting, my fate in your hands to an elected official.
Hey, doctor, we got to go to break. Can you
good.
come back with us? Can you hold on with us?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
All right. We good?
Yep.
We're going to go to break. All right. You listen to Community Voice. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back. Dr. Myers, you still with us?
I am here.
And thank you for your patience. Go ahead.
Well, one of the things I wanted to say was that politics is a team sport. And I don't think a lot of the public looks at it that way. They think, okay, I've elected you, and now you go out and do what it is that you need to do. But they fail to realize that the team sport part is that you're a part of the body politic. The people tell us what to do. They tell elected officials what they want. And I think that's the missing piece for a lot of things that we have in the system in which we have now, where people are, just apathetic or not participating at all. We're saying, well, this person doesn't do anything. Did you call? Did you go? Did you press? So I think that part has to be looked at and examined by the public. It's not just a one-sided deal. After you vote, that's not it. You got to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So DJ was talking about, that candidates could do more. Yes, and the public could do a whole lot more too, because candidates need money. A lot of times, especially in the Black community, we think $5 and $10 is going to do it, to get somebody elected, and you want somebody that is an independent thinker. That is why you have some of the behaviors that you have from Black elected officials, because they are happy to be in the room, and the white people that have money are keeping them there. And I think that's something that you have to think about.
Well, let me do this. Put on your political scientist hat for a moment.
Mhm.
When you hear that term electability, what does that mean to you?
Oh, I think it's a non-factor for me because I know that Black folks can get elected. People of color can be elected. I think it's a falsehood that is created by people who cannot decenter themselves. And for the majority of folks, that would happen to be the white majority. I think it has to be, you have to be, you know, we always talk in political science, Keith, and social sciences, where you talk about you have to be the exceptional Negro.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at a person like President Obama, he had to be without spot or wrinkle to be the president. Anything that he did that was unbecoming, he told it himself before anybody else could go tell it for him. You know, he was open about his past. He talked about all the things that mistakes that he made, all of these things, because that was one of the things that could have held him up. But then when you look on the other side of that, look at President Trump. This is the most ghettoest president in the whole, you know, if you think about, you know, 4 and 5 baby mamas, you know, filing for bankruptcy, you know, 50, 11 times, all of these things that are going on. When you talk about somebody who should never have been president, but the gold standard is always raised for people of color when we run for office. You have to be.
Would you also say women?
Pristine.
When you say women too?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's white women get an easier path. I will say that, and I've said that publicly to a lot of my white female colleagues, and they were like, "No, you don't think so?" I said, "No, it's a difference. It's you still have."
Yeah, and I just want to point it out. You just offended all the ghetto people, saying that Donald Trump is the most ghettoest. You just all the ghetto people are upset right now. Don't put him on them.
Nah, it's
Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I don't think I could say it on air, but it's a meme or a saying out that said Obama, he was the first Black president, but Trump, he was the first ghetto in quotations. Let's just put that in quotations.
No. Someone that he admires, Andrew Jackson.
Mhm.
If you go back and look at Andrew Jackson, he was as ghetto
No.
there was ghetto.
No, I'm saying ghetto. I'm saying, but in quotations, I'm saying it's another word that you know I will put in.
Well, that was Andrew
between.
Jackson.
Yeah,
that was Andrew Jackson. Yeah.
Most definitely. But I think, you know, when I go back to what we were talking about, elected need pressure. They also need organization from the outside. When I worked in the Capitol for those 6 years, it was like pulling teeth to get folks to come to the Capitol to advocate on their own behalf. You know, Maya Angelou talks about I come as one, but I stand with 10,000 behind me. And we're looking like, what, you know, people say, oh, well, where's your community? They're not saying anything. They don't need this. Yes, they do. But we have to have people that are willing to do that extra work, that organizing work, the things that we do when we coalesce around issues that are important to us. We have to keep that work up and actually.
Well, let me do this real quickly because we got about a minute left.
I was just about to say next time don't wait till the end of the show of the program to try to educate and edify us. All right, call earlier.
Okay.
All right, but let me do this. You can edify us in like 30 seconds. Can you just explain the difference to our listeners between the primary and the general?
Absolutely. The primary is where you have people who are in the same party that are running for the same office. That's the whittle away time. That's the time where you get to pick your candidate. So after the primary is the general election. So for instance, if you want to vote for David Crowley, okay, David is running against 4 or 5 other people. So that's when all those people run. If David wins, he's the nominee. Okay, if another person wins, if Francesca wins, she's the nominee for the party. Tom Tiffany is the heir apparent for the Republican side because nobody else was really running, or they did not make ballot access by June 1st. So everybody has to qualify for the ballot by June 1st to get on the ballot. So that's why no matter if they dropped in or dropped out, everybody's still going to show up on the ballot.
All right. Appreciate you, and I agree with DJ calling earlier because you.
Okay.
All right, gotcha. Hey, Clark Kent, thank you.
They messed up today.
What's that?
He said Trump.
Oh,
I did.
Yep.
Dude. We were so caught up in it.
I
man.
did.
Yeah, you did, right?
Dang.
Oh my God, I caught it.
Apostle,
Wow.
thank you, sir.
Bishop, God bless you. Take The Lord along with you.
All right.
Milwaukee, I apologize. I apologize. I didn't even realize I
Yeah.
did it, man.
Yep, you
All
did
right.
it.
DJ, thank you, man. Hey, the good Lord willing, Creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody on Monday. Y'all go from this place in peace.